Yes, you're absolutely right. And this is precisely why understanding the nuances of our parliamentary system is so vital, especially for those preparing for the UPSC exams. Remember, the Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. If they lose the confidence of the House, the entire council, including the Prime Minister, has to resign. So the pleasure of the president is intrinsically tied to the will of the Lok Sabha.
Got it. So it's like a safety net, ensuring the government ultimately answers to the people's representatives. The president's power to dismiss the prime minister or the council of ministers is not arbitrary. It's contingent upon the Lok Sabha's confidence.
Precisely. It beautifully illustrates the principle of parliamentary sovereignty within our democratic framework. And to complete this picture of the president-PM dynamic, there's Article 78. It outlines the prime minister's duty to keep the president informed about all those important government decisions, legislative proposals, essentially acting as the president's primary point of contact for all matters of governance.
It sounds like a pretty demanding job, constantly briefing the president, managing the council of ministers, navigating parliament, and all while shaping our national and international agenda. No wonder they say the Indian prime minister has one of the toughest jobs in the world.
You're absolutely right. It's a role that demands exceptional leadership, political acumen, and a deep understanding of the complexities of our nation. And remember, this deep dive is particularly relevant for our UPSC aspirants, grasping these intricacies of the prime minister's role, those constitutional checks and balances, the relationship with the president and the parliament. It's all crucial for those exams.
Absolutely. It's not just about memorizing articles and clauses. It's about understanding how they play out in the real world of Indian politics. But even beyond the exams, having this knowledge is empowering. It helps you make sense of the news, engage in informed discussions, and participate more actively in our democracy.
Couldn't agree more. You know, when we were talking earlier about India potentially shifting towards a prime ministerial government, it really got me thinking. Many scholars who observe our system point out how much power and influence is concentrated in the prime minister's office.
Yes, that was a fascinating discussion, and it makes sense, given everything we've explored today. Appointing ministers, shaping policy, leading the Lok Sabha, managing relationships with state leaders. It's a lot of responsibility concentrated in one person's hands.
Exactly. And that's why this idea of a prime ministerial government keeps coming up in academic circles. It suggests that the prime minister's role is becoming so central that it potentially overshadows the traditional balance of power within the cabinet and even with the president.
So it's like the system is evolving, but there's no clear consensus on whether that evolution is strengthening or weakening the fabric of our democracy.
Precisely, and that's where critical thinking becomes so crucial, especially for our UPSC aspirants. We've provided you with information, historical context, expert opinions. Now it's up to you, dear listeners, to analyze, to question, to form your own conclusions about the evolving role of the Indian Prime Minister within our democratic system.
You know, that's what makes this deep dive so exciting. It's not about giving you a simple answer. It's about equipping you with the knowledge and tools to engage in these complex and crucial debates about our democracy. And who knows, maybe some of our listeners will go on to shape the future of Indian politics themselves.
Now, wouldn't that be something? But even if you don't end up in parliament, understanding how power operates, how decisions are made, how institutions interact, this knowledge is invaluable for any informed citizen. It allows you to participate in our democracy in a more meaningful and impactful way.
Well said. And speaking of participation, let's not forget those 6 chief ministers who went on to become prime ministers. It shows how our federal system can be a pathway to national leadership, creating this fascinating interplay between the states and the central government. It really adds another layer of complexity to the prime minister's role, doesn't it? They're not just navigating the dynamics of parliament and managing the council of ministers, but also fostering those crucial relationships with state leaders.
Exactly. It's a reminder that the prime minister's influence extends far beyond the halls of parliament, reaching into the heart of our federal system. And you know, those relationships can be crucial, especially when it comes to implementing national policies at the state level. A prime minister who can effectively collaborate with chief ministers is often more successful in translating their vision into tangible outcomes for the nation.
That makes perfect sense. It's all about building consensus and finding common ground, even in a diverse and complex nation like ours. So to recap our deep dive today, we've explored the prime minister's powers, their intricate relationship with the president and the parliament, the historical evolution of the role, the potential shift towards a prime ministerial government, and even the fascinating pathway from chief minister to prime minister. It's been quite a journey.
It certainly has, and I think the most important takeaway for our listeners, especially those gearing up for the UPSC exams, is that the role of the Indian Prime Minister is not static, it's constantly evolving, adapting to the changing needs and challenges of our nation.
It's a living, breathing part of our democracy, not just some dry definition confined to the pages of a textbook. And as our democracy evolves, so too the role of the prime minister of one of them.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so crucial to stay informed, to keep asking those critical questions, to engage in these discussions about the kind of democracy we want to build and the kind of leadership that will best serve our nation.
Especially for those aspiring to shape the future of Indian politics. This deep understanding is invaluable. It's the kind of knowledge that will set you apart, showing that you've gone beyond rote memorization to truly grapple with the complexities of our political system.
Precisely. But even for those not taking exams, understanding the Prime Minister's role is fundamental to being an active and informed citizen. It empowers you to participate in our democracy in a more meaningful way, to hold our leaders accountable, and to contribute to the ongoing conversation about the direction of our nation.
Well said. To wrap up this incredible deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought-provoking question. Given the immense power and influence concentrated in the Prime Minister's office, what are the checks and balances in place to ensure accountability? What mechanisms exist to prevent the potential misuse of that power?
That's a crucial question for all of us to ponder. It's a question that can lead us down fascinating paths of exploration, encouraging us to delve deeper into the workings of our democracy. I encourage you all to explore the source material we've provided, to conduct your own research, to discuss these issues with your friends and family. The quest for knowledge and understanding is a lifelong journey, and it's a journey we should all embark on together.
And that's what we're all about here on The Deep Dive, sparking your curiosity, equipping you with knowledge, and sending you off on your own intellectual adventures. So keep learning, keep exploring, and keep those questions coming.